Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 23rd Lebanon Board of Works meeting. Our first agenda item will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, now we'll move on to the roll call members. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mayor Gentry.
Present.
Becky McClure. Present. Bill Stoner.
Present.
Dick Robertson.
Present.
Alan Milburn.
Present.
Thank you.
Now we'll move on to the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting. Are there any changes or edits to the minutes? Would entertain a motion to approve.
I make a motion we approve the minutes.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is opposed? Minutes are approved. All right, on to department head reports. First up is Police Department. We have Major Hood with us tonight.
Good evening. Since August 9th, the Lebanon Police Department has responded to 594 calls for service and 14 people were arrested. The arrests are as followed: 6 on warrants, 2 for domestic battery, 1 operating while intoxicated, 1 trespassing, 1 pointing a firearm, 1 dealing in narcotics, 1 possession of methamphetamine, 1 possession of marijuana. A total of 29 gun permit applications were transmitted to the Indiana State Police. Range Master Jason Morgan and instructors Ryan Williamson and Austin Scott provided force-on-force training to 13 department members. This scripted training utilizes role players and real firearms that fire non-lethal ammunition that add levels of stress to the training that is sometimes more difficult to replicate than static training sessions. Finally, thanks to the Lebanon Police Department Bicycle Patrol Supervisor Sergeant Justin Knox and Officer Eric Taylor for their assistance with the Music on the Plaza event this past Friday night and handling the traffic and no parking preparations leading into the Oktoberfest celebration this last Saturday. Neither event produced any calls for service for our department. Pending any questions, that's all I've got.
Thank you, Major Hood. Any questions from Major? Any questions from the public? Thank you, sir. Next up will be Fire Department, Chief Batts.
Good evening, everyone. Since the last Board of Public Works and Safety meeting, Lebanon Fire has made 140 emergency calls of service, logged 160 training hours, performed 18 commercial pre-plans, completed 26 commercial inspections, and held 4 CPR classes. LFD has a new work-based learning student from LHS. Her name is Kaylin Spanhook. Kaylin has post-career interest in emergency medical technician, paramedic, and the fire service. She started on August 10th, and she's doing an absolutely amazing job. She is all in, a lot of fun, very dedicated young lady, and you can follow Kaylin's progress through our City of Lebanon Fire Department Facebook page. For 2021, I made a lot of educational changes to the various ranks we have at Lebanon Fire. We increased the academic load for those positions. We felt like it was time to do that update. So we've had a lot of people in school throughout 2021, and it's really hit in September. And I have a quick list of individuals and certifications that they're working towards. Currently, we have 6 department members enrolled in Fire Officer 2. That's Deputy Chief Mike Baird, Battalion Chief Adam Dickerson, Captains Matt Shepard, Rodney Princell, and Brett Klingler, and Lieutenant Jason Lee. Class started on August 11th and will run all the way to October 2nd. It's a long class. It's a state certification, and these individuals have really stepped up and buckled down and taken this course. On August 16th, firefighter Jordan Johnson completed his Indiana State certification and fire department driver operator. August 16th through 19th, Deputy Chief Robert Wiry, Battalion Chief Brian Cope, and Lieutenants Matt Young and Jason Adams attended the Indiana Arson Conference. Then August 9th through the 13th, Captain Brett Klingler completed his Indiana State Rope Rescue Technician certification. The City of Lebanon currently has 2 tornado sirens down. The locations of the sirens are in the Flying J area and the Sam Ralston area. The sirens will be replaced with 2 new sirens. Last Thursday, there were several funnel clouds spotted in the area, and sirens were set off. And we received several Facebook messages from individuals stating that While in their homes, they could not hear the tornado sirens. And I wanted to explain that tornado sirens are developed to be an outdoor alerting system only. If you could hear it in your home, that is a luxury, but the intent is for outdoor activities, large groups of people to be alerted by a tornado siren. And finally, after about a year, Tanker 211 is scheduled to go in service on September 1st. This project has been extended because of difficulty in getting different parts and equipment for that truck. But all the entries have been made in CAD, and it'll take its first run starting on September 1st. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief from the board? Any questions from the public? Okay, thank you, sir. Next up is Parks and Recreation, John Messenger.
Good evening. 2 weekends ago on Saturday, You're Not Alone 5K, their first annual, had a great turnout. And following that was the Battle of the Barbecue held later that day. Excuse me, just had an outstanding, huge crowd. The weather was perfect. And thanks to all the volunteers and chefs, barbecue chefs, I think Chuck was one of them there. A community band played at the Joe Habush Memorial Bandstand in Memorial Park last evening, had a pretty nice little turnout. And also Hoosier Town Ball played several games at the ballpark there. Our Daddy-Daughter Dance will be held this Saturday, August 28th from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. We will host this on the deck of Seashore Water Park again this year, as we enjoyed the venue last year. Tickets are on sale and will be sold at the door as well. Black Box Theater will be there for some entertainment. We hope to enjoy a night of dancing and fun with all the dads and their daughters out there. And they're still getting tickets. We will have tickets at the door, but I'm telling you, it's a nice activity. Our Fall Pickleball League will start this Wednesday evening and running for 6 to 8 weeks. We have a co-ed and women's division. We'll be planning a large tournament for mid-October. Stay tuned for more information on that. Youth football has been very active down at Abner Longley. I think we crunched Danville this last weekend, all the little teams. It was good. One went into double overtime. If you got any time, watch those kids go play it, and it's great. They put it all out there. A lot better than that pro athletes there, just saying. Although there was some vandalism to the RC park a couple weeks ago, at Abner, repairs were made pretty quick. It really wasn't as bad as everybody thought it was. And they hosted another event this past weekend. They had over 100 in attendance from all over the areas. I want to thank Stan Cerna and company for their hard work. They put a lot of time and effort in that, and it's just terrible when things get vandalized, but we got it patched up real quick. And there again, a lot of enjoyment down there. Seashore Water Park is open from 11 to 2 p.m. and will close early for Daddy-Daughter Dance this coming Saturday, and that's Saturday, or the hours 11 to 2 this coming Saturday. We'll open back up Sunday from 12 to 6, and currently working on staffing for Labor Day weekend. It seems like these kids are awfully active, and it's always a struggle to get them in for Labor Day weekend. We'll do our best. I think you've seen that around town where it's really hard to get some staffing. And I can't throw anybody in those spots because they have to be certified lifeguards. So, Mayor, I think you were out there yesterday. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a beautiful facility.
It was great.
The splash pad is open 7 days a week until further notice, until the weather change. Again, that thing is packed every day. Love to open the pool right now, but everybody's in school and we can't do it. All the college kids. Lori Frost is our manager, and she took all the seniors out, graduating seniors that are off to college now. I thought that was really nice that she took them all out to dinner and kind of a going away present for them, and we wish them all the best of luck and thanks for all their service. Many of them had over 6-7 years with us, so it was awful nice for her to do that. Just thought I'd pass that on to you.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John from the board? Go ahead, Dick.
How often are they out there running that RC track?
It depends. I've seen them early morning, I've seen them afternoon and evening, but normally the weekends are the busiest. Sundays, a lot of activity. You can catch 20 people down there, that RC track.
About every Sunday or just?
Yes, every Sunday.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, that's where, if you
I like to
wanna
stop
go
and watch
see
once.
some, yeah. I think Joe was out there, and he might speak on it later, of the activity that's out there and some of the neat stories that are there. It's, I didn't know it was that big a thing. I knew it was neat, and a lot of them, I think Advance has a racetrack with the RC cars, but this is climbers, and it's a whole different era, but very popular.
I've seen different tracks in different communities, but
Have you seen any crawlers?
no.
They come from Fort Wayne, they come from all over, out of state too. So
Yeah.
it's a big deal.
I like to go out and take a look at it.
Cool.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Anything from the public? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Next up, Engineering Department, Kevin Krulik.
Good evening. Downtown, we've completed the parking bumper and bollard installation at the Montgomery Ward site parking lot and trailhead. That essentially closes that out and actually closes out all of our downtown revitalization funding. So that really should be the last update you hear from me about downtown for a little while, so.
About time.
Yeah, it's about time. Talk about pavement resurfacing, our community crossing program, lots still going on, a lot more to do. We've basically wrapped up construction on the curb ramp replacements on the following streets, East Green Street, East Howard Street, and Garofalo. Then thinking about the ramps that we still have pending, there are ramp replacements on North Clark Street. I think there's one to be done there. Henry Street, there are two, a couple on Jamison Street, two on West William Street, a pair on Brook Drive, and then a pair on Brookside Drive. So those are all pending construction on the curb ramps. So those should be concrete crews should be moving back in as we go throughout the week and starting to knock those out. And then we're wrapping up milling and asphalt surfacing. So asphalt is complete on Ashley Drive, on Friends Way, on Garofalo Boulevard, on Elm Swamp Road, on Jason Drive. Ashley and Jason were just finished up today. Morningside Drive, Brookside Drive, and Sunnyside Lane. Asphalt streets resurfacings to be that are still pending. We have East Green Street, East Howard Street, West Superior, South Clark, North Clark, East Busby Street, Henry Street, Jamison Street. Kennard Street was milled today, will be surfaced later in the week. And then West Williams was also, West Williams is also pending street resurfacing there, asphalt resurfacing. And then we are also working with our contractor for adding some additional streets, particularly Syracuse Drive, Syracuse Court, Fairlane Drive, and that north portion of Garfield Street just south of the bridge till you get to Syracuse Court. Those are all associated with resurfacing those streets as part of the Lebanon Utilities Waterline Project. So we're waiting on schedules for those. So a lot still happening, a lot going on our street resurfacing program. Schedules change daily. In fact, I don't even know if this schedule I'm reading to you is still accurate. Everything just depends on availability and crews and weather and a lot of moving parts. But a lot going on, a lot still to be done on resurfacing streets for this year. State Road 32 and 39, everyone wants to know when we're going to turn the signals on. Fortunately, it's out of our hands. I couldn't tell you when the state's going to turn the signals on. They're still bagged at this point. As far as we know, they're still waiting on the electrical service connection. So I'm not for sure what's holding that up. I want to see it on as much as anybody else. And again, I have no new updates on that one. And it's not for a lack of contacting NDOT to find out what's going on. In fact, the last time I spoke with NDOT was last week. They did not realize it wasn't on yet. So I told them that we're still waiting on an electrical connection. So something's dropping through the cracks there, but we're pushing as hard as we can. But again, it's not our project. Whit Road Bridge, utility relocations are still ongoing there. I think you've probably seen a lot of telecom relocations happening in the last few days. Lebanon Utilities also wrapping up their water connections for their water relocation. We're waiting on Vectren at this point now. Vectren is supposed to be here and wrap things up in mid-September. which is pushing back the start of the bridge closure and bridge reconstruction a little bit, but we still are expected to start mid-September on that bridge replacement. Remind everyone, it's just a 45-day closure, but we are doing a complete closure to improve efficiencies there.
Hey, Kevin?
Yes.
Just to clarify on that, so we won't close the bridge till the gas is relocated, correct?
Correct.
So it's still a 45-day closure, it's just may shift back 2 weeks because of the veteran delay?
Right. Yeah, the ultimate closure window is 45 days. So we can't start that until the utilities are out of the way. Then the contractor will be given their full notice to proceed, and they'll have some work probably to do for a couple days before they close the bridge. Then they'll close the bridge, 45 days, max closure, and then they have to open it up. The bridge doesn't have to be 100% complete, but it has to be back open in 45 days.
I just wanted to make sure people understood that it wasn't extending it from a 6-week closure to an 8-week closure. It's still a 6-week closure, it's just slides back 2 weeks.
Exactly, yeah, it's just a sliding, moving target, if you will, at this point, given that we are waiting on Vectren. I shouldn't even say Vectren. Many people know it's now CenterPoint Energy, which is part of the reason why we're still waiting. They held off all construction projects as they were going through the transition from Vectren to CenterPoint, so we've been waiting for a number of weeks there. Other bridge, our Elmwood Bridge, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers has requested an official architectural documentation of the, now we know is a historic bridge. So what does this mean? So the Corps is the one holding the permits. The request for this documentation really came from the State Office of Historic Preservation. And so this just means, well, it's a little bit of new scope, so there is a change order before you for design services later this evening. But basically, the State Office has said, we're okay with you replacing the bridge, and we're okay with you and your sort of homage to the bridge and your replacement, but the historic nature of the bridge needs to be documented architecturally for posterity reasons, so they'll always have a file.
Do you think that's because Ullin has been dedicated as this?
Ullin is on the National Registry of
National
Historic
Register.
Places, that's why. And one side of that bridge sits in Ullin.
Yeah, that's what I figured, yeah.
It's also a pretty old bridge that's never replaced, and something that becomes old enough eventually becomes historic, right?
So what now?
I said it's also a pretty old bridge that the county's never replaced, so, once it sticks around for a while, it becomes historic, right? So.
It probably was contracted by Henry Ullin himself, from what we've understood, historically about the nature of the area north of the ditch there. But
What, I think either somebody told me or I read a story somewhere that was a garden on the north, flower garden.
I've never
Nursery or something on the other side?
I've never documented, I've seen anything that accurately documents that, but anecdotally, that's exactly what I've heard, that bridge was put in there, and Elmwood was originally the nursery for the golf course to grow up trees and other plant material before they would transplant it. And so that's why the bridge is there, that's why the Elmwood property was there, and then as they completed the golf course, they started selling off the Elmwood subdivision and the bridge stayed in place. I couldn't say under oath that that's the truth, but that's anecdotally what I've always heard.
Is this going to, I'm assuming you will push it out, it'll delay the timeline on when?
It's delayed it a bit, but not really that much. We had hoped to be bidding it in fourth quarter or first quarter of next year, fourth quarter of this year, first quarter of next year. We're still on track to do that.
Okay.
In fact, even with all this additional work that the State Office of Historic Preservation has added with this architectural documentation, we are still ahead of schedule on our Corps of Engineers permits. So I still feel confident that we will go in January for a community crossing grant application. If we are successful, we will be under construction in the spring of next year. Hopefully we can do this one in the summertime. Unfortunately, you might ask, why didn't we do the Whit Road Bridge in the summertime? We would have loved to, but unfortunately when you start piecing together the grant cycle dates, the award dates, the contract time that we have to complete the bridge, the utility relocation complexity of Whit Road, we get to the point that September is the earliest we can start. But unfortunately, we have to be done before school gets out next year because of the grant funding. So a lot of people say, why don't you do this in the summertime like you did, or like the county did William Street? Well, we just don't have that luxury with this one. We hope to have that luxury with the Elmwood Bridge. Community crossings is not a sure thing, but I will say every community crossing application that has ever been filed for bridge replacements has been awarded. So we're pretty confident there.
It shouldn't delay it too long, because it's,
No, I mean,
It's-
really, we've
actually,
been
they're
on the
just
same
creating
time period
they're
anyway.
creating pictures and drawings and things like that of it,
Yeah.
and measure things out. It's a record, yeah.
Exactly. This just gives us a little bit more upfront time to handle things like utility coordination and things like that, so.
Sign replacement
We'll keep working.
and sign replacement.
The sign replacement, yes, we'll have to issue that. Grant Street. Grant Street letting, just to remind everyone, has been moved up to March of next year. Originally, this wasn't supposed to let until fourth quarter of next year for 2023 construction. So we are tentatively looking at May 2022 construction of Grant Street from and including the intersection of Washington Street to and including the intersection of Fordyce Road. Active living projects, basically, we're still working on sidewalk work along Syracuse Court, but we're getting close to wrapping that up. And we're getting near the end of our active living cost share monies, but there, I think, is still a small window that you might be able to get an application in and get awarded this year, but we are getting really close with our cost share monies. Big Four Trail expansion, I've got some more information in the city council meeting regarding some additional services that we're working with the state and our consultants on, but for right now, everything is still on track for October letting for spring construction for the Big Four Trail through Lebanon, taking it from downtown to Abner Longley Park, across to Abner Longley Park, and connecting to the Hendricks Drive Trail, as well as resurfacing the rural section of the trail from Center Township to Sarah and Plant Road, just outside of Thorntown. And then Fordyce Street, because Grant Street has been moved up, the only thing I want to remind people is that we have delayed the construction of Fordyce till at least 2023. But there's some moving parts there we're still working with. From our inspection department, we've had 12, since the last meeting, we've had 12 SWIP inspections, 6 right-of-way inspections, 10 complaint inspections, and 1 illicit discharge. Some news from the construction sites around town, Auburn Meadows Section 3. We've completed all the asphalt surfacing. We'll be considering platting and sureties later this evening so that we can start issuing building permits in that section. Sunbrook, Section 2, we're on home construction at this point, really nothing left for infrastructure purposes. Phase 3, legal drain relocation was just completed, and we are still working, or their contractors are still working on storm sewers. Villas Section 1, that is to home construction at this time. Villas Section 2, erosion control and site stripping is done, and they are now securely into mass earthwork on that section. Jumping to the southeast corner of the city, the Cedar Ridge development on Fordyce Road. They're wrapping up tree clearing. Hopefully we'll be starting house demolition very soon, as well as off-site sewers across the Centenary Church property. In the business park, Building 16 is now complete, at least as far as we are concerned. And on the New Cold property, still remains vertical construction at this point. Still some storm sewer outlets that are pending, but nothing that's urgent at this time. Key Car Wash, no real change. Building foundation still going in. Autumn Trace, that mass earthwork has now been completed, and they are now working on building foundations and site utilities. Airstream dealership, no change really on vertical construction at this point. Pratt Storage, the building is now complete, and they're just working on final site grading and seeding before they wrap up that project. That's all I have.
Thank you, Kevin. Any questions for Kevin from the board? Anything from public? Thank you, sir. Next up is Planning Department, Ben Bontrager.
Good evening, board members. Since the last meeting, the planning department has completed 47 additional inspections, so we're still doing about 5 a day. and issued another 23 permits. We're still seeing kind of stops and starts as it relates to new construction permits. We'll get about 5 or 6 of them over a 2-week period, then we won't see anything for 2 or 3 weeks. So still nothing that's really regular at this point in terms of the single-family permits. I'm pretty sure it's still just a supply issue in terms of materials. So still trying to get some of those things worked out, over the next few months in that industry. So hopefully that'll continue, and we'll continue to see some additional construction in our new neighborhoods. In terms of continuing education, Matt Reynolds, a staff member, is going to be attending the Indiana Economic Development course at Ball State next week. And this is a week-long course. I took it probably about 15 or 16 years ago. So it's been a training course that's been going on for a long time. And it's kind of a week-long course. You go for about 8 hours each day. It's a real intensive training on concepts and strategies related to economic and community development. So it's not necessarily something that's a primary function of our department, but certainly we get into a lot of economic development, community development functions and programs, et cetera, in the city. So it's kind of a good overview for him as we get into more projects related to that. So looking forward to seeing what he learns at that program and just comparing it to what I learned 15 years ago. So that'll be good for him. In terms of code enforcement, again, to continue seeing a lot of activity related to code enforcement operations. They're continuing to do a lot and relates to junk vehicles with the police department's help, and then grass and weeds, et cetera. So got a lot of things related to unsafe building we're still working on right now too, so hoping to see those move forward as well. And in terms of new cases, again, they're seeing quite a few new cases coming in, and we'll continue to operate with those. And as we continue to get more proactive about things, you'll consider to see that those operations continue to ramp up. So that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ben. Any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? Thank you, sir. Next up is Street and Stormwater Department, Dave Newell.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Good.
Good. We just been doing our usual stuff, mowing easements, a little slowing down a little bit now. Now that we mowed them the last time, they're kind of not much rain, so we'll see. Picking up the lots in the our city easements as well, and trying to clean up around the lots that we've been having to mow. Definitely been busy, like I say, cleaning the catch basins, only for these little flash flood showers we have. Seems like we can't get a good rain, but we're also cleaning on that. Counts as cleaning the inside as well. We don't just clean the outside. Sometimes we're able to do the inside. But I've been putting up some new signs as well around town. We still haven't gotten in our tiger signs yet for this year. Checked on those today, and they're still waiting on the supplier. So we get them, we're going to feel like we just got a million of them because we've got so many ordered now. But it's the post too. We can't even hardly get the post. So it's the way it is right now, I guess. Everybody's having problems with it. We ordered those last December, if that gives you any idea. So we'll probably be placing our end of the year order. What's left before we get the last year's order. But he said he's just checking on it. He keeps checking on it every day and keeping us informed. They just don't have the supplies yet. Guys been pretty busy doing some storm structure repairs. Hopefully we can get one that business owners want to do there on west and Washington Street, I believe it is, one of those areas. But we had some cars parked there today, so we couldn't do it. Did some locates down here at Noble and East Street to help with the trail project. We located some gas lines they're trying to find out the depth of, so we was able to hydro back down and help out with that after we get the line locates called in. We spent the day cleaning up, we spent Thursday last week cleaning up the lot a lot. The lot a lot didn't make sense, but anyway, clean up our lot. We got a lot of bricks still left over from the downtown project, and when they brought them down to us, they were double, triple stacked, and they were I was worried they're going to fall over, and so we just cleaned up the whole lot, spread them out. So I don't know if there's any plans for those, but we got plenty of them, so if anybody needs them. It definitely looks a lot better though. It was just growing weeds around it and stuff, so we got it all mowed down and taken care of. Let's see, we're getting some ice melt this week to I know nobody wants to talk about winter, but we're trying to get that ahead of time so we don't have to go get it. And that's what we use. We don't use it a lot. We just use it when we have to go out in our annexation areas and we do our salt and sand mix if we ever run that. We really only run that anymore if we're really low on material. We try to really get away from it as much as we can, especially in the city limits. But, so we're gonna be picking up some of that, getting ready. Been pretty busy dropping off barricades for all the events throughout the city. And, you know, the businesses that are having them and stuff. So they've been keeping us hopping on that, but they've been doing a great job about stacking them back up for us. And so it's a good deal. Our next brush week will be September 13th through September 17th. So everybody can put that on their calendar. Be ready for that. I will say that it's been pretty successful doing it that way because I think we started out with 32,000 pounds or something, and we've dropped way down. So people are, you know, starting to catch on and starting to work out.
I think people were back at work and they weren't at home doing landscaping all, like all last
Just trying
year.
to find stuff to do, I'm sure.
Exactly.
Stuck at home, I don't blame them. After that, our next rest of the brush week will be October 11th through 15th, but we'll remind everybody once we get to that point again. We got a couple people going to the street commissioners for a couple days. Congratulations to Craig, he's going. You do so many classes, get so many hours, and he's earned his hard hat there. Dick probably knows what we're talking about that. But, so he'll get an award there, so we're letting him make sure he can make it to that. And try not to send the whole staff, so we're not all out of the office. But so congratulations to Craig. He definitely worked hard to get that. So I think he's the only other person, and I think Larry got it when he was street commissioner, so there's only been 2 people to get it so far. So we were doing pretty good on our end of it, and then all this started happening, so we had to lay off the classes. But also to remind, we've been getting a lot of calls about heavy trash, and it's in October. Remind everybody, it's Friday, October 1st from 7 to 4, and Saturday, October 2nd, 7 to 12 this year, or this time. So they're not going to 4 on Saturday, they're only going to noon. So I know that's a lot of people's used to being open until 4, but that came from race, so they're having problems getting rid of the trash. I think afternoon was the biggest problem, so that's why they cut it down on us. Rain or shine, no electronics or televisions, all that stuff. We've been getting a few calls and try to remind people that way they can clean up and be ready for it. But that's all we got.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. Any questions for Dave from the board? Anything for the public? Okay. Thank you, sir.
I got one.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Nick.
Dave, is there any way you can, is there, I'm just thinking electronics, is there any way that the solid waste board or anything does anything about having an electronics day, just one day where you can
The county
get
does
rid of that stuff?
The county does an e-waste. I think they do it in the spring when we do our cleanup, and I think you can take the TVs, electronics, and all that there.
Down at the fairgrounds, the county has it, and it was like in, I don't know, April or May.
I didn't know.
You could
Yeah,
get
they
rid
do,
of
I think they
computers.
do
or-
tires, you can do like Ford tires or something. They do
Yeah, the
chemicals.
challenge though now on the televisions, I serve on the solid waste board. The challenge is now you have to pay a fee to get the electronics recycled. So every TV costs something like $20, something like that, to get rid of it. So that's the kind of the challenge that the solid waste board has with, I think you still have to pay the fee. It's not like a free drop off anymore like it used to be. So
Yeah, you
that's,
still have to pay, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure what the price is, but I think they only do it once a year.
yeah, I think it's in their cleanup day when we do our one in the spring usually. So I can ask Jennifer though, see if they do.
It seems like to me that you could take one day and bring in a big dumpster and charge everybody whatever the fee is.
Right.
This is what the fee is to drop your,
Yeah, and that's
toss your
kind of
thing in the dumpster.
that's what they do. I mean, it's just like ours. They just have it open, and I mean, their line for it's usually pretty good. It wraps around the fairgrounds and all that. So.
I got a couple old TVs I want to get rid of.
I'll ping Jennifer for you. So
Do what?
I said I'll ping Jennifer for you, ask about that for you. All right, anything else from the board or public? Okay, thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
And finally, Communications, Community Development, Joe LePage.
Hey everybody, good evening. We're on the home stretch of the month of August, and we're also in the home stretch of the city's collaboration with the Heart of Lebanon and the Lebanon City Market. We're doing an Art in August feature. We've hired and consulted with some local artists who have been kind of leading our market goers in various artistic activities. Tomorrow is no different. Tomorrow will be a sidewalk chalk contest, and I know what you're thinking. It's been so hot. It sounds miserable to come down and paint or to use sidewalk chalk. Well, our downtown is fantastic for a number of reasons, but one of which is the shade. So we're finding some shady spots and have plenty of blank canvases for would-be artists, young and old, to be able to come down and showcase their artistic ability. The chalk will be provided. Winners will get prizes. So we want to be able to highlight some of our local artists. You may recall that having the Sidewalk Chalk Festival and contest really fleshed out some of our local artists who ended up painting some of our tiger statues. And so it really helped kind of springboard our injection of arts in our city. And so we want to continue to do that and kind of take the next step with doing that. Again, prizes, the market goes from 4 p.m. until 7 p.m. right along Main Street, downtown in the heart of Lebanon. Speaking of art in August and the Tigers, our outdoor checklist copies have come in. They're right here. They're several different, we got several copies of them. The printed copies will be here in the municipal building at 401 South Meridian Street, and also the library and our parks office as well. So you can stop by, get one of these bad boys. On the front is all of our outdoor tigers, all 16 of those. And then on the back side, you'll see a QR code that you can take your phone, like if you're watching at home right now, you can take your phone and hit that tiger paw, and it would go to our website, the Tiger Trail website. You can be able to see all 20 tigers that are out in the wild within the city of Lebanon and surrounding area. And so if those art enthusiasts, young and old, want to check off and be able to prove that they visited all the outdoor tigers, there is a special Love in Lebanon prize that awaits them. And so those prizes are here in the municipal building. And so we want you to come in and show your work, and then we'll be happy to give you a prize for taking our tiger trail within our community. Community development videos, as John alluded to, I got a chance to go and appreciate John creating a connection with all the folks that operate the RC. RC enthusiasts, I think, is what John called them. That is a perfect title for those RC folks. Got a chance to go and shoot that yesterday. Like John said, 100 enthusiasts out there, young and old. I talked to Bryson and Connor from Danville. Young guys. They were in the beginning category. So there's a portion that's just for beginners. And it's so cool how they laid it all out, because I had no idea how it all worked. But there were some of the younger kiddos that were doing it. And then I bumped into Ken, who is from Fort Wayne. Came all the way down, and as I was setting up my gear, I asked him where he's from. He said, Fort Wayne, all the way down here in Lebanon, and I'm spending money in your city. And thank you very much. And so I got a chance to talk with some beginners and some more seasoned vets. And so video will be forthcoming about that, just to kind of lay out what a really cool kind of dive into the rough, quite literally, here in our city. So video upcoming there. So I'm bumping Isaac Harker, our next Lebanon legend, a little bit. Coming up, our next downtown event, major one by the city anyway, is Unite Under the Lights. We're finalizing the menu with the folks at the 1830 Chop House. That event will be on October 2nd, rather, from 6 p.m. until 9 p.m. And remember, those tickets will go on sale too soon, and there are a limited number of those tickets. And so once they're gone, be able to get a seat at the table. And so we'll let you know the moment we have the menu, so you can be able to pick that as far as your ticket that you're getting. And so we want to be able to have that ready for you before those tickets go live. But can't wait to bring that event to our community after taking a break thanks to COVID last year.
Thank you, Joe. Any questions for Joe from the
when
board?
they're going out? Do you have any idea when they may come out for sale?
The tickets, we are going to meet later on this week. And so once it's finalized, we're good to go with that. Sean and Amy and myself are going to meet. I would say mid next week, or by the end of next week, is when we'll have that out, and maybe have some pretty pictures to show along with it to kind of get the taste buds going.
Let me know when it comes out.
I will do that. Live music's all ready to go. We have the provider for the over 21 beverages, and just waiting on the menu.
What's the number of tickets that you're limited to? Do you have a number?
Well, the mayor has directed, we did 50 last year, and there was a pretty high demand, and so I think we're going to bump it up to 75 this year, 76 rather.
Okay.
So have that in there. We keep it at $50 a piece for those tickets.
All right. Any other questions from the board? Public? Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it. Okay, that concludes department head reports. Move on to old business. I don't have anything on my agenda. Is there anything from the board?
Nope.
Okay. New business then. First item up is change orders 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for DC construction resurfacing. Kevin.
Thank you. It sounds like we've been storing them up, but the reality is we've only really started the paving work in the last couple of weeks. So, And prior to that, we had already requested several of these change orders, so we're just documenting this as now they're under construction. They're getting us all the proper documentation. And so that's what's before you. So I sent out a package with all these change orders in it. Change order 1 is broken up into 1B, 1C, and 1D. The reason there's not a 1A is we skipped that one. It was something we had requested, and after we started looking at it in more detail, it didn't seem like a good fit for what we were trying to accomplish. So change order 1B is a further extension of the Howard Street repaving limits. Change order 1C is the further extension of the Superior Street paving limits. And change order 1D is the further extension of the Kennard Street paving limits. Why didn't we bid those initially? Well, when we were looking at our inventories and submitting our community crossing grants, these portions of the street are not listed as public streets as far as the state is concerned. Now, we're getting that taken care of so that we don't have this in the future. But I didn't want to submit something for community crossings and have it thrown out because it didn't match the state's road inventory network. So kind of knew these first 3 were coming. Then you go on to change order 2. We actually, this kind of goes back to the Howard Street extension. We had a couple of curb ramps on the end of Howard Street where it meets Park Street that we wanted to replace as well. And then probably the big one, we didn't necessarily know this was coming, but on North Clark Street, as we got into that project, we just had a lot of issues with getting ADA compliance with sidewalks. So we had to really expand how much sidewalk work we were doing on North Clark Street. And effectively, we're replacing, I don't know, I would say 85 to 90% of the North Clark Street sidewalks from Williams to Chicago. It's going to be real great when we're done, but it was a real mess as we got into it. So everything was just so far out of compliance. It was sort of like one of those things that where do you stop? Stop here when it's out of compliance 3 feet further. Stop 10 feet down when it's out of compliance again. So we had to really expand that. And we think at the end of the day, what we really get is a really good project that really helps clean up a street that doesn't get a lot of love or attention. So that's the change order 3 is for North Clark Street. And then change order 4 is some additional alley paving on the west end of Howard Street. So this is sort of all the alleys between Meridian, Williams, State Road 39, and Chicago. Originally, part of this is a part of an extension of Chicago Street, I said Chicago, Howard Street, an extension of the Howard Street, which effectively in a lot of areas looks like an alley, which is probably the reason for the NDOT discrepancies in the inventory. So we're redoing those alleys in that block while we're there. And then change order 5 is for all the streets associated with the Lebanon Utilities Water Main Project in the Northfield subdivision. So that's Syracuse Drive, Syracuse Court, Fairlane Drive, and Garfield from Syracuse to the bridge. So 5 change orders, 1 through 5. We're asking for your support. We have the budget for this. We're not asking for any kind of a new appropriation. This is already coming out of monies that we have in LRS, MVH, and our MVH restricted funds. And in fact, even with these change orders, we're still forecasting to be about $300,000 below the fund balances on those accounts that will apply to road projects next year.
Okay.
Any questions?
Any questions from the board on those? Tanya, do you want those approved individually, or can we do those as a group? All one is fine. Board okay with that? Any?
Oh, no, I want to do it one.
You want to do one at a time, Dick? You want to be run for punishment? Got it, okay. At this time then, I would entertain a motion to approve change orders 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 from DC Construction concerning our street resurfacing program.
I'll make a motion, go ahead.
I make a motion, we approve the change orders 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 DC Construction Street Resurfacing Program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, those are approved. Thank you, Kevin. All All right, next up, professional services agreement, Elmwood Drive Reynolds Bridge contract agreement.
Yeah, I touched on this. So this is a professional services agreement, or effectively an amendment, effectively a change order to our design contract with Clark Dietz for the Elmwood Bridge. We already had the historic permitting associated with the bridge. We already had forecasted that we thought we would need that. But the new thing that I mentioned earlier was the State Office of Historic Preservation, through the permitting arm of the Army Corps of Engineers, required that historical architectural documentation. So this is not just permitting that we're replacing a historic bridge, now it is that we have to document the historic bridge for posterity. So that's measurements, pictures, professional photos, things of that nature that will go to the state so that they can always celebrate the history of that area. So it's a change order or an amendment to our professional services agreement for $4,000 needed for that documentation associated with that.
Any questions from that, from the board?
One.
Good.
Kevin, on our sheet here, it says Elmwood Drive Reynolds Bridge contract agreement. That probably should be Clark Dietz, shouldn't it?
It is a Clark Dietz contract. The reason it says Reynolds is it's the Reynolds ditch that it goes over.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
It's a bridge
I'm
name.
sorry.
Yep.
I'm sorry. You're right.
So any questions on that amendment? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to approve the amendment to the Elmwood Drive Reynolds Bridge contract with Clark Dietz pending final legal review.
I'll make a motion, we approve amendment number 1 to Clark Dietz for the Elmwood Drive Reynolds Ditch Bridge contract.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that is approved. And dredging contract now, Kevin?
Yes. So, subject to Public Works law, this is a project under $50,000. So, the Board of Works authorized us to seek quotes for work on this dredging project, and we are then, under the law, allowed to submit quotes, to solicit 3 quotes via electronic mail. So we have been working with actually 4 different contractors to try to get quotes. So we did our diligence in soliciting 4 contractors for quoting of this, and then this is not a sealed quote requirement. This is just, I come to you with the quotes we have received, read these into the record, and ask you to award a contract based on those. So unfortunately, although we sought quotes from 4 contractors, only 2 responded. So we have a proposal from Merit Contracting for $32,314, and we have a proposal from Miller Excavating and Trucking for $6,100. So quite the discrepancy there. We'd like to go with the Miller Group, of course. The Miller Group does a lot of dredging throughout the county. In fact, they just dredged the Reynolds Ditch for the county earlier this year. So it's a low number, but this is what they do for a living. This is basically all they do for a living. And given their history of doing this type of work for the county surveyor's office, we feel confident accepting and are happy to accept that low number of $6,100.
I'm sure they've done it before.
They have.
Yeah.
Do we have any more ditches we need them to dredge for us while they're at it?
That's the only ditch we have to dredge, yeah.
Okay,
That's the
all
only
right.
ditch that's ours.
Thought I'd ask.
I'd make a motion, we approve the dredging contract with Miller Trucking for the Chadwick Village ditch.
We have a motion to approve the Miller contract. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. And then you also have a street closure request?
I do. I am here on behalf of Audrey Howie with the Lakeside Crossing Neighborhood Owners Association. They are requesting the closure of Lakeview Drive from Lakeshore Drive to Sierra Drive. shown on the map there. So this is Lake Shore at the bottom of the map.
Can we
This
do
is
that?
Sierra. So it's just closed between the two intersections. This is for a block party for their neighborhood. The closure will not prohibit or restrict traffic in either the intersection with Sierra or the intersection with Lake Shore, so the traffic could get around the closure for the.
So I know we approved a closure last time,
She
but
was approved.
but was that for a different location or a different
Well, it was
event?
for a different location. I think they were going to do it in a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
And they have now decided.
changed their
to bring
mind?
it to here. So they're withdrawing their earlier petition and entering this request.
Gotcha, okay. Put it more centrally located, I guess. Okay. Any questions from the board on that? It's actually pretty easy. There's a road that goes right around it, so.
Yeah, no issues from myself.
We'll entertain a motion to approve that street closure request in Lakeside Crossing.
I make a motion, we approve the request for Lakeside Crossing between Sierra Drive for the block party.
Motion approved, is there a second?
Second.
Motion is second from Alan. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. And did you say something about, I don't have it on my agenda, but did you say something about plats or something like that for tonight as well?
Yeah, my apologies. I thought that was on the agenda.
Might have missed it.
We do, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. What we have before you would be, what was meant to be on the agenda was a request to,
Except the surety bonds, right?
well, it's to accept the secondary plat for Auburn Meadows Section 3. And this would include the acceptance of necessary and appropriate maintenance and performance sureties, in addition to, accepting the plat, thereby accepting the rights of way dedicated per that plat. We are still working with the developer on the details associated with the maintenance and performance bond sureties. So what we're asking tonight is that you approve the acceptance of the plat and acceptance of the right-of-way, subject to the administrative approval from myself and the planning department on the secondary plat, as well as the appropriate sureties.
Do I have consent from the board to add this to the agenda?
Yes.
Any concerns with that?
I have no problem.
No
That's
problem?
fine.
Okay. Then with that do you need to explain it more, Kevin, or you think you kind of just did, but
I think it's fairly self-explanatory what I've just said.
I know it's pretty procedural for us on that
It is really
standpoint.
procedural.
Any questions for Kevin from the board on that? Okay, then I would entertain a motion to approve, to approve the secondary plat and accept all related sureties for Auburn Meadows Section 3.
I'll make a motion that we approve the secondary plat.
Okay, we have motions, there a second?
Second.
Motion is second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you, Kevin, sorry about that, we'll send that on the agenda. Okay, next item up, surplus items request from Parks Department, John Messenger.
Good evening again. Yes, I talked to Mr. Stoner, and we've gone over 3 pieces of equipment. One being a Toro grandstand, like to surplus it, we will be trading it in. A 1992 Chevy C3500 dump truck. There again, it's seen its better days. It has 49,000 miles on it, though, by the way. And then a trailer, 20-foot trailer that we have. Again, that will be a trade-in that we will do, and just like to surplus it before. And we've got the 3 quotes on everything that we've done, so.
Any questions for John on that? I was at least alive in 92, so there you go.
Excuse me?
So I was at least alive in 92.
Yeah, that's right. The only question I would have, if we do go ahead and surplus that 92, if I could still use it until we find
You
a
can, yep,
replacement.
yep.
Yeah,
It's just,
you can.
yep, it's just been declared surplus, and at that point, once we get a new vehicle, we can. Yep.
Make it down and dirty pretty quick.
Any questions on that from the board? Okay. Would then entertain a motion to approve the surplus declaration for the parks equipment and vehicles as presented?
I make a motion, we approve the Parks Department surplus equipment as presented.
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, that is approved. And now we have surplus request from the street department. Dave Newell.
Well, I got two of them. I have a bucket truck we're trying to surplus, so we can replace it. It's a 2002. It was bought used and we got it. It's got over 100,000 miles on it and it's just falling apart on us, so we just need to replace it so we can do all of our banners and sign work, basically.
Okay.
Do you want both of them at once? or-
Yeah, just do both of them at once, yep.
The other one, you might not have been. I mean, it's a trailer from 1988.
It's not, nope.
It's been sitting there a lot, I'd say, for probably 2 years now, so we're just trying to get it junked. is
Tree
all it's
growing
worth.
up there.
It's a thing of beauty too, it has a tree growing in the middle.
Yeah.
We aired up the tires to try to move it, so we're just gonna put our scrap on it and do it all at once, hopefully, is the plan with that one, but
Fair enough.
All right.
Any questions or concerns from Dave from the board? Okay. I would entertain a motion then to approve the surplus declaration of the bucket truck and trailer as presented.
Make a motion, we approve the street department request for the bucket truck and the trailer as presented.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
Second from Alan. Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you, Dave.
thank you.
Okay, that concludes what I have on my agenda. Is there anything from the council, or board, excuse me? Okay, move on to claims then, and we'll entertain a motion concerning the claims.
I move we approve the claims.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the claims. We have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Claims are approved. And any announcements or discussion from the board? Any public comment?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we are adjourned. Our next Board of Works meeting will be September 13th at 5:30 PM. City Council's up next.